this is David Stark from WatcherPass.com, your website for movie reviews, interviews, and recommendations. I'm dressed all fancy today because I'm going to talk to the Mexican James Bond, Alejandro De Hoyos, about his role in The Contractor or El Contratista. We're going to talk to Alejandro in just a second, so you can go ahead and crack open the martini, shaken, not stirred, and check out the trailer. And while you're watching, if you can like and subscribe to this channel, that would be fantastic. It helps me out a lot. Thank you.
My conscience won't let me carry on like this.
Kano, wherever you go, we follow.
The boy lost his entire family, and like I said, well, it's been very hard for him. He's stopped socializing completely.
Did you see that?
Do you think you have any right to judge all of these people?
Everything has been a lie.
You're telling me we're trapped?
There is another group of armed men at the exit.
So, what do we do?
Hey, Alejandro.
Hey, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Great, great. Thank you.
So I got all decked out because I hear you're known as the Mexican James Bond, and
Wow! I should have worn my tux.
No, people will be looking at you anyways. Also, thank you so much for joining me. This is Alejandro De Hoyos. He plays Kano in The Contractor or El Contratista. It's available digitally on pretty much any platform, so you can check it out. And it was an interesting role. I'm just kind of curious, what about that role and that film kind of appealed to you and made you want to, go out for to be, the boss of this team?
Yeah, well, I was, I'm a businessman. I run a bunch of companies, and I'm in my office here, and one of my friends, an actor, tells me, hey, JoJo Hendrickson, a writer and director, has this script, somebody I've worked with, this guy, and he says he would like you to read it, see if you're interested in producing it. Because they knew that I was interested in producing a film. And I read it, and it was a very ambitious film. I mean, it had a lot of action. And I said, yeah, I could produce it, but not like that. I mean, this is like a big budget film. Mm-hmm. So he made some changes, less action, less explosions. And in less than 3 months, we were shooting. I said, I read it, I liked it, and I said, let's do it. And since I was financing it, I had to make sure that it was low budget, mm-hmm. Which for me, low budget is a lot of money. I mean, for Hollywood standards, low budget is $10 million, $20 million, that's low budget, yeah. $5 million. But so that's, I like the concept. I'm into martial arts, and I love anything that has to do with action and fighting. And initially, I wasn't going to do the part of Kano. And he was just going to be the writer. He was not going to direct. And we talked, we looked at other possibilities, other actors, other directors. And at the end of the day, we said, look, I'll act, I'll be the lead if you direct the movie. So we both compromised, but I felt like I didn't have enough time to do it because I'm so busy. But he said, you'd be perfect, for the character. And that's how it happened.
That's such an interesting kind of push and pull, because if you're financing, but also in the film, you as the star, you want big explosions, as much action as you can, but you also financing, you kind of have to recognize, the limits. And so that must have been tough. I mean, on the one hand, it's good that you're there and kind of on the ground and kind of living with all the choices that you're making. But on the other hand, it must be kind of tough to play both of those roles in the middle of a set.
Yes and no. Since I guess I've been in the business world for many years. Since I was little, I've been doing business one way or another, and I'm always very involved. Like there's a time when I'm still doing it, but I was buying houses and I was fixing them myself. So I could sell them. So I learned a lot of the, how to do the tile and carpentry and things like that. So it's part of a business to be hands-on. In this case, I was the producer, the executive producer, and then I hired people to help me with the project here and also in Mexico because we shot it in Mexico. And without them, I wouldn't be able to do it. Obviously, I mean, they were running everything while I was acting, while I was doing my job as an actor.
Wearing one
Which
of your
was
other hats.
yeah, and well, at that point, yeah, they would. We made all the big decisions. I chose all the cast. We brought people from Mexico City that were celebrities there, and we got people from here, from LA. I made all those decisions, and then once we were ready, then they took over. Like in Mexico, they were taking care of everything. They would come and ask me certain things, but I was not as involved, in any decision making. Craft service, they want more. Just give them more craft, service. But the budget's gonna go up. Just I don't want people hungry. Those decisions. But I wasn't worrying about where they're gonna get the food, who's gonna cook. You guys deal with that.
Yeah.
You have to delegate.
Definitely. No, that makes perfect sense. And yeah, you don't want to be thinking about that when you're also trying to perform. So it makes
Right.
perfect sense.
Yeah.
So to prepare for this kind of, action role, did you have to do anything special? Did you take any training, or is it just kind of stuff that you've picked up? It sounds like you're kind of a Renaissance person. So maybe you kind of, have some of these skills from other acting gigs or from, other hobbies and whatnot.
Yeah, I was a black belt when I was 17. I was into martial arts since I was 12. And I learned in Ensenada, Baja, which is where we shot the movie. I wanted to shoot it there because that's where I was born. And my karate teacher is still there. He's 75 now.
Wow.
He has a son that's in his late 30s. They're both black belt 10 degree for the father, and the son is like 4th degree black belt. They're very accomplished, very respected people in Ensenada. So I told him about it, and I said, look, I wanna work out a little bit choreography. So I went to Ensenada maybe 3 times to work out with them, and worked out the details. And I have a gym at home, so I have a punching bag, and I have a couple of pieces of equipment. So I trained for 3 months because remember, they brought me the script. I read it. I said, let's do it. And in 3 months we were shooting. So I had 3 months to work out. I've always been in shape. I've played a lot of racquetball. I abandoned my martial arts for a long, long time. Like I would do a little bit here and there, but not really. But coming back to martial arts was great for me to start training again. And then I don't know if you saw the movie, but there's a scene where I'm fighting, and that's me. There's no stuntman. I'm throwing those kicks, and the punches, and according to everybody who's seen it, it looks very real. Even my teacher said, because he was in the beginning, he was telling me, okay, you can do this here, you can do that there. And when he saw the film, just like that was, very believable, Alex. He's very tough,
Yeah, no, it definitely looks like you've got the experience, which is fantastic. And also I'm impressed that you were in good enough shape to, get into movie role shape in 3 months. That's a testament to what.
Yeah, I'm in my late
yourself.
50s, so it's difficult when you're in your late 50s. But again, it's. I have a trampoline at home, and I don't do it very often because it was for my boys. But every now and then I get in there and I do backflips on the trampoline. I just like being in shape. I've never been like crazy about fitness. No, because I'm busy. I mean, I have my kids that were growing. I had the companies that were growing. So there's only so much time that you have, to do different things. But I did use some of that time, like I said, to play racquetball or to go to the beach biking or whatever. Gotta stay active.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's really important because it's an important lesson for everyone. You never know what's gonna come your way, and had you not been that active, maybe you wouldn't have been able to play that role, or we might have had to delay the shooting, and who knows what could have happened. So it's good
Right.
to just kind of be prepared, right? They say that what is it? Luck is like 90% preparation, or success is 90% preparation and 10% luck, or something along those lines. So
Lots of preparation.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, right now I wrote a film. This one I did write myself with my son, a 25-year-old, and this one is going to have a lot more action, and also this one has romance. It has betrayal. It's a combination of more things that are. I believe that will make this movie I don't want to say a better movie because JoJo, the writer director, he did a great job. He wrote it, he directed. Obviously, this is my baby that I wrote with my baby, my son, and the things that I felt that maybe were missing in the other movie, like there was no romance, not really, or things like that. I added to my film, and of course, there's more action because we're planning on doing it on a much bigger budget. Not a crazy budget, but a much bigger budget. And this time, I'm going to have other investors come in and help out. I'm not going to do it by myself. It doesn't make sense because the film loses a lot when you're doing low budget. It's yeah.
Well, and it sounds like you took what you learned from that film, and now you're working on another one and kind of building on that. So it sounds like it was the film is fine in its own right, but now you can kind of use that experience going forward. It's like that film is your baby, and then this one is now your grandbaby because you worked with your son on it too.
Well, there's even more involvement in this because I also wrote it. We wrote it. The other one we didn't write, and I'm gonna produce it and all that. And like I was saying, the training that I'm going through right now is a little more intense than what I did in those 3 months because I'm having more time. So I'm doing a lot of punching, kicking, a lot of martial arts to be ready because I'm also getting older. So it's harder to be in shape. So got to work harder now.
Definitely, yeah. And I like some of the things, you can tell that you have some experience in acting and especially in action movies. Like there were some little touches I really liked. Like one thing is every time it was tense, your hand was like right by your holster, which I think is, I don't know if that was direction or just kind of a learned, you knew that you needed to do that, but it was a nice little touch to show like, okay, this guy, like he's got some experience, he knows what to do. And, you didn't look tense, but you had, you had like you were ready to go. So.
We had some training by a friend of mine. He was in the Argentinian military forces, and he came and trained us how to hold the weapons, how to, stand, because he says, Alex, you see a lot of movies, and you see big stars, and they don't hold the gun correctly. That's not how you shoot. And so we went to shoot, and he came here to my place and we trained with other actors just to get an idea. Of course, we were not going to be. And then I did research. I did a lot of research on soldiers, how they shoot and how they, stand and things like that. You like you're saying, you have to prepare. You have to do some research. Yeah.
Definitely. And I guess speaking of you and your crew, had you worked with any of the members of your crew in the film before, or were those all, new people that you had cast?
Only the director, but some of the actors, I had worked with them before. And when I went to Mexico, I was concerned because I started acting in my 30s, and that's when I was already here in Los Angeles. Before that, when I was in Mexico, I was doing business. I was doing different things. I was producing also, but live shows when I was in my 20s in Mexico City. Singers, performers, martial arts tournaments. I did a world kickboxing championship in Mexico City. So things like that. But I was concerned because I didn't know what to expect from the crew in Baja. And I was very surprised, man. They were so professional. They were so good, so committed. We one day, a few days, we worked till 5, 6 in the morning, and
Oh, wow.
There we are. Yeah, we had to finish the film.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're on a budget and you've got a schedule, so you gotta do what you need to do. That's fantastic news. I mean,
low budget is tough. It really is tough because you're gonna sacrifice a lot. You have to do it faster. You have to do different things. So you don't have this, you don't have that. We don't use no wires. Even now when I watch movies with Jackie Chan and all that they're suspended by cables, by wires. And that takes away from the fight. If you're gonna have a fight scene, just have it as natural, as real as possible. Without
definitely.
have to do all those flying,
Jumping up and down. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
that's just me.
and the low budget part is a good point. I mean, I talked to a lot of indie directors, and I've had some stories where people are like, they're finishing their final scene as they're about to get kicked out because either they're filming in a location and they have someone else coming in, or they could only get a permit for X number of days because of budgetary constraints. So yeah, it's definitely a different world, and it's a good experience. I mean, I'm sure it helped you a lot, kind of with planning and trying to make sure all the pieces work together because you have such a small window sometimes.
Yeah, well, quick story. This was the last day of shooting. The last, and it was a night, shoot. So all the celebrities from Mexico, they were flying the next day. The people who were doing the weapons and everything, arms, everything, they were flying the next day. Sound, everything was set up to leave next day. So we had to finish the movie this night. So we're doing okay. So we're fine, and it's like 5 a.m, 5:30. We finished the scene, and now there was a scene where there are like 4 or 5 bad guys, dead on the ground, if you remember. And now there's another scene where a group of more bad guys comes, like 15 or 20. And so when the director says, okay, bring in the extras, bring in the next team, they're like, well, we already used them. They're there, they're dead. And he's like, no, but I wanted 15 more on top of those, and I guess it's 5:30 in the morning. Where do you get them at 5:30 in the morning? So we have to finish the movie in 30 minutes because the sun is about, to come out. Yep. 30 minutes. We can see the ocean there, and it's, because we're in Ensenada, we can see a little bit of light. It's still dark. So we have like 30 minutes. So that end was completely improvised. The end, what I did at the end, obviously we're not going to say what it's about, but it's completely improvised in a way where he says, okay, Alex, we don't have the extras. This is what's going to happen. This is going to happen. And then I want to see your reaction to that. And that's it. So that's how the end happened. It was kind of like by accident, but we liked the way it ended. It was a different ending, not your usual ending, but it was because of that of a situation. Again, low budget, restrictions. It's just so many days that you have to. We had 30 days to shoot, which a lot of people say, well, all I need is 17 or 18 days, but it's like, then the movie's gonna even suffer more, if you're doing 17, 18, 20 days. Yeah. So we did 30. And of course you're off on weekends,
Yeah, you always want to build in some extra time. And that's amazing about the ending, because that's some quick thinking. I mean, I don't know if I would have been that cool under pressure where you have 30 minutes to, kind of retool something that you'd been working towards for a long time. So that's a great little story. And that's a great, kind of testament to you and the director to kind of be able to retweak everything so quickly under that much pressure. So.
Yeah, I have to trust him. He's like, Alex, it didn't happen. I said, no, why? Do you want me to do it again? No, it's not you that you didn't make it happen. Whatever. Exactly. It's not you that you didn't make it happen. It's just that it's not going to happen because of this. Yeah. So he's like, change your plans. And me as a owner of the executive director is like, okay, well, whatever if that's what you think is going to work, let's do it. As soon as we finished the scene, I'm not lying to you, 5 minutes later we could see the light. We could see on the horizon. You can see it just like painted there. Yeah. Sunrise.
It's a fantastic story.
And it was like it's almost like not that we were in tears, but it was like, oh my gosh, it was
like it's a new day now. Everything is different.
yeah. And then it's amazing because we went from that darkness, and then in 5, 10, 20 minutes, now we could see everybody. Before we had lights, and in 15, 20 minutes, now we see everybody that's there. Of course, the other actors. It's like, oh, we did it, and that was the end of the, of the shooting. That was a wrap. That was crazy.
That is nuts. So it sounded like you said you'd worked with a few of the crew before, and also it sounded like did you train with the crew as well? It sounds like there was some weapons training, maybe some martial arts. Is that kind of how you established the rapport with the other members of your team,
For the
in the movie
martial
itself?
arts, yeah, for the fight that you see in that prison cell where
Mhm.
they're interrogating somebody, the guy that I have the fight, I have a fight with three. Well, I knock out one of them, and there's the main fighter. He's the son of my teacher.
Oh, nice.
He's black belt, fourth degree black belt. So he's the one that we choreographed that scene. And then again, accidents, good accidents happen, do you remember the fight scene?
I do, yeah. It kind of comes interspersed throughout the film, but I do remember
so
that
we're
scene.
fighting and doing all this, and I'm
Yeah.
punching, he's choking me and this, and then I knee him and throw him against the door, and then I throw a spinning back kick up in the air. And then if you watch the movie, then suddenly you see all this light, that bathes me. It's kind of like amazing that happened. That was an accident.
Oh,
I kicked the guy and he's supposed to, fall there. But I'm saying this, but I'm not saying that, there was such a hard kick. It was a hard kick, and he went back against the door, and then the hinges came off. So the door opened. And then, of course, that room, the prison cell is dark, and then you get all the light. So as soon as I'm kicking him, then the light comes in as I'm jumping and hitting him, which I don't know how you would have done that with lighting, and it was
that's
it just
fantastic.
happened that way. So that was kind of like a miracle, it was weird.
It's also it's a great humble brag too. Like, I didn't mean to kick him, but I just kicked him through a door. It's this all by preparation.
Well, we trained it with a pad, when we were doing the rehearsals. And here, what we did, you've seen those pads that you grab it and you can type in it, they grab it, and then you can kick him or whatever.
Yeah.
So what we did, we had that pad on the floor. So we did the scene on this, and when that part comes, I throw him against the door, and then the camera's on me, and then as I'm about to kick him, as soon as I throw him, he grabs the pad and puts it on his chest.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't see that, obviously. So as the camera is on me, as I'm jumping and hitting him, he already has the pad on his chest, holding it. And that's why I was able to throw it as hard as I wanted, as I could, because it needed to look like a real kick. So it was a real kick. It did make contact, the way it's supposed to make contact. And that's why he went back again. It was beautiful.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's a humbling experience because this was my first film, not my first production, my first film, but I treat it as a business because I run a company. So they're the same basic principles, teamwork and things like that. I just got back from Toronto, to shoot a huge film. It's called The Man from Toronto, with
Makes sense.
Kevin Hart and Woody Harrelson, Ellen Barkin. Those are like big guys. And the director is Patrick Hughes. He directed the Hitman's Bodyguard with Ryan Reynolds and Samuel Jackson, Salma Hayek, number 1 and number 2. So these guys are used to huge explosions and fights and things like that. So I can't say much about it. The story is that the biggest assassin in the world and the biggest screw up in New York get confused. So you can imagine who the screw up is.
Yeah, I
so they think
one
is the other, one is the assassin, and it's not. So it's a very funny comedy with a lot of action, and I think it's going to be great. So I was very proud to be chosen to I guess I can say to play the villain. I guess that much I can say. So it was great working with those guys. It's they were very honest, humble. As soon as I walked on the set, the Kevin, came, shook my hand, gave me a hug. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Good to see you. And then Woody also, hey, my pleasure. I was surprised that they were, that humble, that simple. Like we should all be like that. Why not? you know, and the
Yeah, no,
director
definitely.
too. The director was like, "Hey, Alejandro, we're so glad you're here." You know, he said something like, "Without we can't have a good movie with a good a good action movie without a good villain." So I'm glad you're here. So we love your audition. So that was awesome because you're nervous, man. You have I keep saying this, you have 80, 100 people in the room with you. You know, all the camera, lights, special effects, script supervisor, this, that, makeup. Do you have 80 to 100? It seems to me like 80 to 100 people. Stuntmen, you know. So it's you have to really be focused on what you're doing. When I did my movie, yeah, you have 20 people, 15, 20, but here you had a lot of people. So you have to be, you have to bring your best game. And it was awesome experience. I loved it. I loved it.
That's awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to all of those.
Yeah.
One more quick question about this film.
Yeah.
I guess what was it like working with what was his name, Sebastian Cano, which is I just made the connection that his last name was your last name or code name in the film.
It just happened that way. Sebastian was. I love that little kid. Well, he's not so little anymore. He was 10. He's I think he just turned 15 in October. Yeah, he was about to turn 11, so that's been 4 years. Great kid. I'm planning on using him on my next film, if he doesn't get too big, because I wrote a character, where there's a boy between 12 and 14. So I'm like stretching it because I wanna work with him again. Very polite little boy. His parents, grandparents are amazing. I can see why he's such a good boy. His parents are awesome too. He's an architect. She's a professional. I forgot what she does, but she was doing something with the government, and she's very, very professional people. Awesome. And the little boy, very, very easygoing, easy to work with. Very almost like an adult, but as a child. Because sometimes you have those precocious children that are like know it all, and you're like, oh, that's so cute, but they're cute for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then, but this kid was, a little boy but professional and educated. We say in Spanish, we say he was very well educated, but not in like an education here, like you say, in school, but that the parents, teach him well, good mannered, mannered.
Raised well, I think. Yeah.
Raised well. Yeah. So that was awesome to work with that. Zero issues with him, zero problems.
That's
if anything, it was a joy to work with him.
That's awesome. And it seems like, a major focus of this film was kind of the effect of violence in various forms on children. And that, I imagine that was part of, I assume that's something that appealed to you, like kind of telling that story and kind of putting that on screen. Was that something about the script or this, story that you found important?
Yeah, I have 4 boys, and I don't know if you have kids, but that we all deal with that situation of our kids playing video games too much. And what's too much? Is 1 hour too much? Is 5 hours too much? Is 10 hours a day too much? You as a parent, you decide what's too much. For somebody else, 30 minutes might be too much. But what happens with this kid? The story is that I'm an ex-military guy protecting people in the American government, and that's what we're in Iraq. I don't like what I'm seeing. They're torturing people for no reason. I intervene, and that's when we have the fight. Then I said, I'm done with this. So I want to open my own company. And then when I go protect a boy whose family was murdered by somebody, we don't know. It's the typical conclusion is cartel, because we think Mexico cartel, but it could be we have the nanny, we have the cook, we have the butler. We don't know. It's kind of like that. Like you don't know if they were involved with somebody else in the outside. I like that. So what happens to a little boy once this explosion happens with their parents dying? then he becomes just, I don't know. I don't want to say catatonic, but he's just basically playing video games, and that's all he's doing. He's not going to school or nothing. And then once we arrive and we finally start taking him to school, and something happens and we have to kill some bad guys that are attacking him, that's when he comes back to life. He's like, yeah, you know, you guys, how do you guys do that? You know, how did you know? And when he comes home and the cook, he's explaining that to the cook, and she's like, you shouldn't be happy that they killed some people. And you can see the little boy's thinking, and he says, Maria, these are not people. These were the bad guys, you know, the bad ones. These are the people who killed my parents. So you can see the justification. You can see his understanding of, it's a confusion. It seems like it's a confusion between the characters in a video game or a movie and real life. So you see a little bit of that throughout the movie, that you feel like there's something, you know, that's, I don't want to say that's something that's affecting the little boy, but there's something there that's touching, you know, the little boy's decisions.
Yeah, and it kind of goes through an escalation, which I appreciate. It kind of, you know,
Right.
it seems like he kind of slowly approaches things as things heat up around him, and so it's kind of it's a nice side plot to the film. So
yeah. So it has two things. The director kind of wanted to have those two, not messages like, you know, to hit you on the head with it, but kind of the message of the soldier, the military, who's a patriot, the military guy who says, you know, enough's enough. Yeah, I do believe in being a patriot and helping, but I also believe that there might be people that are not doing things right. You know, they're doing it for, you know, with different interests in mind.
yeah,
So,
or maybe just, you know, using different kinds of judgments. Maybe their judgment is a little off. They, as you said, they think that they're doing what they think is right, but who knows, you know, if they're coming from the right place to do it.
yeah, I mean, and not to get into politics, but you see right now how divided we are, you know, with the elections and all that, how some people go one way and other people go a different way. I'm not saying who's right or who's wrong, but we all think we're right. Yep. So I think that's how the Kano feels like this is not what he wants to do anymore, you know. And
so one thing I also noticed is, you know, you're known as the Mexican James Bond. That's what I'd heard when I was signing up for this. I think I can see the resemblance. But you only wore a suit one time in the film, and so I'm hoping in your next projects maybe you'll have a few more suits. I saw your IMDb page. You do look good in the tuxedo, so I know you can rock it. So. It's funny that you say that, because my publicists, they're the ones who say, yeah, you should be the Mexican James Bond. So I have a scene where I have a tux in my next film, the one I wrote, and but that's it, just one scene in a tux. The rest I'm in regular clothes, and there's a scene with no clothes. So there we go. Everyone go check it out. Well,
just a bow tie.
Well, there you go. Some hot takes on this interview. Awesome.
So that's why I'm working out, man. You know, that's right. There's a scene where I have to take my shirt off. It's like, oh no. It's like, okay.
No, every time I see an actor who takes their shirt off and they're in shape, I'm like, you know what? If I looked like that, I also wouldn't wear a shirt. I would just walk around without a shirt on, no problem. So that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it's funny because especially in the summer, I have 3 boys still at home and another one that's not at home. But sometimes we have the 3 boys and me, like on a Saturday, Sunday, and either I'm working out in my gym and we're all shirtless. And we come in and my mom, who still is with us, he lives with us. She just looks at us and she's like, look at all of you, you know, just, you know, with no shirt on, you know, how she says, I wish I could do that myself, you know. She's like, I wish, you know, it's so free. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, we're at home, you know. I'm kind of shy. I don't like to be, you know, showing, you know, not having a shirt if there are a lot of people. If somebody comes to visit, but if it's just us, yeah, we'll all be without, a shirt on.
So Alex takes his shirt off only for, in his home and also for millions of moviegoers. Those are the two situations.
No, it hasn't happened yet. No, this scene, it just worked out that way. My son was writing that part where he said, "No, Dad, it's a romantic scene. It's a romantic comedic scene, and it just called for it. I'm not gonna say more, but it's a good scene. It's a fun scene, and I'm with a lady, and she takes my shirt, and I'm off. But it's very comedic. It's not. I don't. It's not that I don't believe, but I see a lot of sex scenes, and they're always. We joke about it. How it's always about him against the wall, and she jumps on him, and and they're done in 30 seconds, and I'm like, really? So we wrote a funny scene based on that, where I believe it's really funny, and it's not your typical love scene or sex scene. So we'll see how it turns out.
Yeah, excited to see it. So now, if you've got the time, I know we've been going for a bit. I'd like to move. I call it the lightning round. It's just kind of short, lightweight questions about the film and the characters. Just kind of see how you kind of relate to some of the things in the film. You can feel free to pass on any of them. I won't be offended, but I try to keep them fairly answerable. So
yeah, can you excuse me for 1 second?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I just need to. I guess it's cold here where I am. Funny enough, so my nose is. Sorry.
Perfect. So yeah, like I said, they're short, lightweight questions. You can choose to answer. You can pass on any of them. I won't be offended, but I try to keep them very answerable. So
Sure.
All right. So the first question is: do you play video games?
No video games. It's not from my time, I guess.
Yeah. That's understandable.
I might play something like cards on my phone, but no, not really.
What is your go-to drink?
My go-to drink, well, I have a refrigerator here with a Pellegrino and water, and I've been enjoying this oat milk. So I can either have a hot chocolate or a coffee with the oat milk, and those are my go-to drinks. I don't drink alcohol.
I was going to say that's very practical because that question was because you're known as far as I know, you're known as the Mexican James Bond. So, his drink is a martini shaken, not stirred. So
right. I'm boring that way,
Hey, you're in shape. So that you kind of have to get those
the
sacrifices.
almond milk or the oat milk.
If you had to have a martini, would you shake it or stir it?
It depends on who I'm with.
All right.
And maybe they can shake it for me.
There you go. So in the action scenes, I think most of the time you had a pistol, but do you prefer for an action scene a pistol or a rifle or something else?
I don't have a preference. I mean, it's kind of fun to have a pistol. It's quick. It just comes from nowhere, and you travel. It's a lighter weapon.
Yeah, you're not confined by it. So
yeah, you're not exactly. But it's fun also to shoot those big, rifles. It's power.
And see the brass come out of it. That's always fun to see too.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching the Expendables, and they have those machine guns, and it's like, boy, all the toys for the boys,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Have you ever used a voice modulator to hide your voice?
No.
Have you ever used one of those? Your characters wore earpieces to communicate. Have you ever used one of those like outside of kind of a filming scene?
No. I use I went to Mexico City once for an audition, and they had one of those little earpieces, and they're feeding you your lines, but it's horrible. It's horrible because they just give you the script and they say, okay, this is the script. They're gonna feed it to you. So you don't even get to learn it. So that's how they do the soaps in Mexico, or when I went, that's how they were doing them. It's horrible. And I guess you get used to it. So
Yeah, that sounds tough because you kind of you probably want to process it and kind of figure out how to say it, but then it's just being fed to you. You can't really process
yeah,
it
and
that
you're
well.
repeating, and if the guy is giving you a specific inflection, so now you're copying, or
Mhm.
you don't own what you're saying. That was my experience.
So in this film, you're kind of the boss, and you got driven around a lot. It sounds like you're really hands-on, though. I feel like you might want to drive more. Do you prefer to be driven, or do you like to kind of drive yourself?
I personally don't drive. I don't like long distances.
Okay.
But if it's short distance, I drive. I like to drive.
Awesome. And so the chief of police in the film had like a really cool purple and blue streak in her hair. So what is the kind of craziest color you've ever dyed your hair, or have you ever kind of dyed your hair just a crazy color for fun or for
Black.
work or black?
No, when I was younger, about 20 years ago, I started getting gray when I was in early 30s. And yeah, sometimes I would just dye it black or dark brown. And what happens, it starts getting all gold.
Oh.
Once it oxidizes, and then your hair looks really weird. So now I can see people that are sort of gray and brownish gold. It's because the color is fading.
I mean, you can rock the salt and pepper look. So
So now I leave it like that.
Yeah, exactly. No need to dye it.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. So thank you so much for your time. And the movie is The Contractor, or El Contratista. It's available digitally, so you can check it out pretty much anywhere. And you can also look for Alejandro De Hoya in his upcoming films. So it sounds like he's gonna have a lot coming up. So make sure to keep your eye out for it.
Yeah. The Instagram is Alejandro De Hoy at Instagram. I guess they didn't have the Hoyos, just the Hoy. And yeah, that's basically what I use. I don't really use Facebook, but I use Instagram for people who want to contact or IMDb. Yeah.
Perfect.
Great
Well,
talking to you.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time. This is a lot of fun.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll see you.
That was Alejandro De Hoyos, who plays Cano in The Contractor, or El Contratista. El Contratista is available digitally on pretty much any platform, so you can check it out at the comfort of your home and see why Alejandro is known as the Mexican James Bond. If you liked this interview, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot to make sure all of my new interviews go straight to you. And as always, please go to watchyourpass.com for all your movie reviews, interviews, and recommendations. Thank you.